and gentlemen, damn it, it's Arrow. The GOAT has returned. Oliver Queen is back. This is the episode I've been looking for. And it's your boy Icon with some DC TV. Episode 9 of The Flash. It's my party, and I'll die if I want to. And damn it, this was good. So let's get right through the fluff. Let's get over the fluff and get right down to some bisonnaise. So basically, it's Barry's birthday all over again, because I do remember the season when he had got like the power boost, and when he got his power boost, that's when he was like super powerful and he was able to run across the world in like 2 seconds, and he was doing all this crazy shit, and that's when he busted up the Royal Flush Gang and everything. It also decelerated his aging process. So according to Chester, they said that because of the deceleration, he lost 3 years. So Barry was supposed to be 33. He's turned 30 again based on his molecular biological structure. So they threw him a birthday party. When they threw him a birthday party, John Diggle was there and good old Wally West. So that was cool to see. It was nice to see Wally West back, and then of course it's always nice to see John Diggle despite the circumstances of him giving up the power. So then Diggle tries to give him Oliver's bow as a birthday present. Barry says no, because he said he feels some kind of way. And Barry was acting weird throughout the course of his whole birthday party, and we find out why he was feeling bad later. For some weird reason, Chester gave Allegra a necklace, and that the fact that he gave her the necklace turned out to mean diddly squat. So there was no purpose for the necklace. It didn't do anything. It got broke during the episode, and it was just never brought up again. I don't understand why we wasted time with him giving her that if it wasn't going to mean anything. Maybe it'll mean something down the line, but we only got like, 3 episodes left. So anyway, so now they're about to toast and celebrate young Bartholomew's birthday. And when they toast to Barry Allen's birthday, everybody passes out because someone didn't spike the punch. And we find out that Ramsey, good old Bloodsport, has returned. And only Wally and Barry weren't affected by Bloodsport 100% because they're speedsters and they have the speed healing factor. Ramsey was basically just like, he was like, oh, I'm in your head, Barry, and then yours too, Wallace. And then he was just like, I'm going to use your power to get through the multiverse. Because earlier on during the birthday party, Wally had said to Barry that the same way how he's able to project his consciousness into the Speed Force, he was trying to project his consciousness into alternate timelines to try to find another version of him in a different timeline that achieved the ultimate tranquility and the highest form of spirituality or whatever, to teach him how he can be enlightened. Barry questioned why he felt he wasn't enlightened already. Wally got upset for whatever reason and walked away. And then now fast forward, Bloodsport's here and he's poisoned everybody and everybody passed out. Because you know the way Bloodsport's power works is that he puts his black tar into you and then he controls you because a part of him is within you. Wally and Barry weren't affected by it because, again, they have speed healing, but everybody else was toast. Iris, though, Iris actually halfway survived because since she has a baby in her system, and they said that she was providing the baby with oxygen and the baby in return is providing her with speed healing. So you can't really take over Iris as long as there's a speedster baby inside of her stomach. And real quick on that, everybody keeps saying baby Nora, baby Nora, baby Nora. I want everybody to remember the season, I believe it was season 2, no, the end of season 3. It was the end of season 3 when Barry had created Flashpoint, and then like those lightning bolts were coming out of the sky and blasting people. That was the season when Barry decided to go into the Speed Force to serve as penance, and he was in Speed Force prison. And because of that, he told Wally to protect the city. And then when he later came out of the Speed Force, when they brought him out of the Speed Force later on, his mind was like elsewhere, and he was saying all this crazy shit. One of the things that he said when he was in there, he looked at like, he was just like writing like random gibberish all over the wall. And then he said, oh, we're gonna need more diapers. And he said that to Iris regarding them having a baby. But the fact that when she got pregnant with this current child, they keep saying Nora, Nora, Nora. All I'm saying is that line of him saying we're going to need more diapers has yet to be, because they did all the lines, you know, like the whole this house is bitching and all, like if I'm not mistaken, every single line that came out of his mouth, they did, except for the whole we're going to need more diapers. So all I'm saying is that might be like, how do we know she's not pregnant with the Terror Twins or the Tornado Twins, whatever the hell we're calling them? It's like, how do we know she's not pregnant with the twins? And because like I said, it's one of those things where it's just weird that they keep going out of their way to specifically say Nora. They're making me now think they're saying Nora's name so much it's probably going to end up being somebody else. Like I said, it might be the Tornado Twins. But anyway, so Iris gets up and then she runs and hides in the Speed Force lab. Barry, he's like, you know, trapped in his own mind, and then he's talking to Ramsey, and Ramsey's just like, oh, he's like, Barry, he's like, I'm here to, you know, share my gifts with the wild. And then he's like, I will control everybody. And then he was like, you can't control everybody. And he was like, hey, but I'm going to control the multiverse because your friend Wallace has the power to, because the thing is, They said that Wally wasn't going into alternate timelines. He was in fact looking into the multiverse. Ramsey was like, oh, there's a new multiverse that's been created. And he was like, I shall be its master and I'll take it over. And then, Wallace will be the catalyst to help me achieve my enlightenment. Well, Ramsey got into Wally's head earlier and he showed him the house that he grew up in. And he was just like, oh, he was like, you grew up in this filth, in this dump while your mother was on crack and heroin. And then he was just like, your sister and your daddy, they were off living the glorious life. And Barry stole the life that should have been yours. And then he got all upset. And then, he's ended up feeding into what Ramsey was saying. And then he told them, Ramsey said to him, he was like, listen, he was like, you and me together. He's like, we could change the world. He was like, your mother died, my mother died. He was like, let us do what we can to make sure this doesn't happen again. And Wally eventually ended up, falling for the trap, and then he got sucked in, and he became a blood brother willingly. So now Barry's there. He's trying to talk Wally out of it, and he's just like, come on, Wally. He was just like, we're family. And he was like, we're not family, Barry. He was like, you stole the life that should have been mine. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, this is getting really deep. This is getting like unnecessarily deep to the point where I almost forgot Oliver was coming. So then he was just like, then they did the thing where Barry was looking Wally like face to face, and he was just like, he was like, Barry, and he's like, Wally, you're my brother. He's like, I love you. And he was like, I don't love you, Barry, and I want you to die. And then he gave him the vibrating hand. And then he did the vibrating hand, and he stuck it through his chest. And then when he stuck the vibrating hand through his chest, apparently Barry died. And I was just like, oh shit. Like, he didn't pass out. He wasn't like temporarily incapacitated. They said he legitimately died. Now, here's the best part about that. When he died, he woke up. And when he woke up, he was on Leanne Yu. And when he was on Leanne Yu, he was met by the one, the only, the GOAT of superhero television, Oliver Queen. And that's when I screeched like a silly-eyed schoolgirl. And then, so it is very good to see Oliver back. Like, I swear to God, y'all don't understand how much I miss Arrow. Like, Arrow saved, Arrow is the reason why I have a YouTube channel. I'm just gonna say that. Like, y'all don't understand. When I call Oliver the GOAT, superhero like, I know I say like Goat Wing on Titans, and I call like the true GOAT of all GOATs is the man whose name is Oliver Queen. So anyway, so they're on Leanne Yu. Barry hugs him, he tells him to get off, and then come to find out. And this was very interesting because, Oliver did say, he said that, he accepted the power of the Spectre, and because he accepted the power of the Spectre, he is now in charge of protecting the multiverse. He told Barry that there's a new multiverse out there, and there are worlds that have yet to be created that are in danger now because Ramsey is going to use Wally to tap into the multiverse and infect the multiverse with his evil black goo. So then Barry was just like, how can we stop him? And then he said, well, we got to go down there, because Oliver said that as the Spectre, he's not allowed to appear on the mortal plane, so to speak. He said the only time he's allowed to actually go to Earth and interact with people on Earth is if the multiverse is in danger, which it now is. But then that's when Barry was just like, he was like, well, he said, I died. He was like, Wally killed me. He said, but you can bring me back to life because you're a god. And he was like, no, because there's a small party that actually doesn't want to go back. Barry was like, what are you talking about? And then he was just like, you're not a good liar. And then that's when Barry basically has survivor's guilt, because he said that when he said it wasn't fair that Caitlin died, Killer Frost died, they named a couple of other people, a bunch of people died. Barry, out of all the people who actually died and all the people we lost, Barry actually got more life and more time because when he had the run-in with the scientists, he got 3 extra years because of his accelerating, Speed Force power. And he said that it wasn't fair and that he felt some kind of way. He didn't want to celebrate his birthday because all it just reminds him is everybody that's not there at his birthday party, and the fact that he's actually going to outlive everybody in that room. Even on Legends of Tomorrow, they had episodes of Legends of Tomorrow where they went into the future, or they got calls from tape recordings of a Barry Allen from the future. So we know that he survives all that. So anyway, so now, but then that's when Oliver gave him the hope speech, which I was like, there's a twist. He's just like, you're a hero, get off your ass and act like it. And then they got into the Arrow backstory, because Oliver told Barry, he was like, look, you can't save everybody. He said, sometimes you just have to deal with the grief. And then, Barry was like, yo, I'm calling bullshit, because he said, you of all people, as far as dealing with the grief is concerned, you done brought back every single person that died throughout the entire course of Arrow, every character. And then he was just like, well, not everybody, because the one character he didn't bring back was his dad. And I wish they would have mentioned, I swear I wish they would have mentioned Laurel in that moment, because not only did Oliver not bring back his dad, but he also didn't bring back Laurel. He didn't bring back his version of Laurel. Instead, he brought back Black Siren, who was the Laurel Lance of Earth 2. Because Black Siren spent that whole episode trying to figure out why Oliver brought her back and didn't bring back the original Laurel Lance. But then, Oliver had told Barry, he said that bringing his dad back would have altered too much shit, because his dad was supposed to die for him to be put on the path to become the Green Arrow, which in turn lets Barry become the Flash, and then he interacts with Supergirl, then we get Legends of Tomorrow, and Black Lightning, and Batwoman, and blah, 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 and so on. So he's like, he said he couldn't bring his dad back. And then he said that he dishonored his dad's memory, because he said, his dad sacrificed himself to give him more time. The same way how like Barry has more time, and he's feeling guilty about having more time. Oliver said he felt guilty because his dad sacrificed himself, to give Oliver more time, more time in life. And then he was like, how did I repay that sacrifice? And he said, what did I do at the time my dad gave me? He said, I put the hood on and I went out there and I started kicking ass and taking names and trying to get revenge, telling myself that every single time I crossed a name off the list, like I was honoring my father's sacrifice. But he said it was just filling me up with more darkness. And I'm just like, I see where you're coming from, but I 100% don't agree with that. I mean, let's be honest. If you really wanted to save the city, yeah, you could have just taken the CEO position at Queen Consolidated, and you could have built affordable housing because you were a rich billionaire. But instead, you decided to put on the hood, and you went out at night and put some arrows up a couple of people's asses. I'm like, yeah, tomato. But anyway, he felt he dishonored his dad's memory. So I'm like, who am I to argue with the goat? So but then he said that he said that when he sacrificed himself so that Barry and Kara can have more time, he said that the whole purpose was for him to be a beacon of light, to shine through in these dark times. So he's like, he basically did everything but say run, Barry, run. So then he told Barry, he was just like, yo, let's go kick some Ramsey ass. And then instead of bopping him on the head, and that was funny because Barry was just like, you're not gonna bop me on the head, because last time you did that, he said it actually destroyed the Speed Force. And he was like, nah. He punched him in the face, which made Barry like wake up. He brought him back to life. Oliver showed up with him, and then that's when he told him, he was like, well, I'm allowed to intervene if the multiverse is in danger. He was dressed in full goat attire in that Green Arrow costume, and then he picked up the bow that he used when he was in Crisis on Kara's Earth, on Supergirl's Earth, when he was attacked by the shadow creatures and he died for the first time. Because remember, everybody, in Crisis, the man died twice. The man died twice in Crisis. Let's not forget that. But he threw but anyway, when he was fighting the shadow demons, he ran out of arrows, and then he threw his bow down, and he was basically fighting the arrows like hand to hand. They said that they actually found his bow in National City, because again, when Oliver merged all the Earths together, I guess his bow ended up on Earth Prime, because that was the same bow that Diggle tried to give him as a birthday present. And then Barry was like, I say thee nay. And then he said, let's just hang it up in the hall. And I'm like, don't you already have a bow and arrow of Oliver in the hall? At least he referenced the hall. So anyway, so Oliver's suited and booted, and the two of them, Flash and Arrow, Flaro, one more time. We going down there to kick some villain ass. They go down to where Ramsey is, and then they're fighting Ramsey, and then Wally shows up, who's all possessed, and then Wally and Barry have a speed fight, and then Oliver in full goat form, he's sitting there whooping all of them, the creatures that Ramsey created, and he's talking to Ramsey, and the two of them are having a conversation. Wally had opened a portal to the multiverse, and Ramsey put his black goo into that portal, because again, he's trying to infect the entire multiverse, and they're trying to stop him from doing the infection. Meanwhile, back at Star Labs, Chester was the only person who didn't get hit by the zombie Ramsey power, because Chester doesn't drink, because Ramsey basically spiked the punch, and because Chester doesn't drink, he didn't have the champagne, and then because of that, like, nothing happened to Chester. So he got basically trapped in a room with a crazy Allegra, which again turned into nothing. Like, Iris was in the time vault, and we never saw her again once she left, so that turned to be nothing. But then just when like the rest of the zombies were about to bust in and kill Chester, that's when Kian showed up, and then she used her Gaia spirit of the earth powers to freeze all the liquid inside everyone's body to keep them from coming after her and Chester. And then she used her power once again, I guess, to expunge the darkness or the goo that was inside Diggle. And then when she expunged the goo that was inside Diggle, and this is the only part where I rolled my eyes, because when Diggle was just like, oh, he was like, what's happening? He said that Barry's fighting Ramsey and he needs your help. And then when he gave Diggle the damn bag that had his costume in it, it was the stupid Spartan costume, and that's when I rolled my eyes, because then I was reminded that he doesn't have the Green Arrow ring, and he threw away the power. I am not over that. You need to understand, I will never be over that. I am not okay with that. I will never be okay with that. So then Oliver, he's fighting Ramsey, and then Diggle, dressed as Spartan, shows up and blasts Ramsey in the back. He sees Oliver, gives Oliver a hug, and then see now all of a sudden it's okay for Oliver to hug people. When Barry did it, it was a problem. But now he hugging Diggle left and right throughout the whole episode. So now they're fighting. Barry gave Wally the hope speech and said that, your dad loves you, who wasn't in the episode. Your sister loves you. I love you. We all love you. And then Wally was able to expunge the darkness from within, and then he was able to come back. So now it's like the four of them. Barry and Wally did like this Speed Force electric rope thing to basically tie up Ramsey. And while they had him tied up, that's when Oliver drew back his bow and said, Ramsey, you have failed this city. And then he fired the arrow, true GOAT fashion, bullseye, right in the multiverse, and he expunged the darkness from the multiverse. Not only did he expunge the darkness from the multiverse, he said that he also expunged the darkness that was inside Ramsey, and he cured Ramsey's ALS. And I was just like, well, shit. Like, if that's not GOAT status, I don't know what is. So then they take Ramsey off to prison, everything. The multiverse is safe again. And now we're back at Barry's house and we're having a party again. We're having the re-party to celebrate Barry's birthday. Everybody's marveling in the fact that Oliver is around, and then the party starts, and the hugging and the kissing, and then Wally ended up having a conversation with Iris about how he didn't achieve enlightenment, and then, her and Iris had a brother-sister moment. There's a lot of flashbacks in this episode, too. The brother-sister crime-fighting unit, I actually wanted that. But then, and then there was a moment where Diggle, here we go again. So Diggle on the phone, he said that Lilo's on the phone and wants him to debrief her about what took place in Central City. So then Oliver's having a conversation with him, and then Diggle's like, at least I get to say goodbye this time. And then he was just like, oh, your kids are great. He's like, William's in college, and Mia can climb the salmon ladder. And then he brought up Felicity. See, and here's where we get into the thick of it. He brought up Felicity. And then he said that now that you're here on Earth, are you going to visit Felicity? And he said no. He said that Felicity and Maya's destiny has already been chosen. Our path has already been written. And I need everybody to go back for a second. The series finale of Arrow, it ended in the future, Star City 2024 or whatever. It ended in the future with an older Felicity Smoke helping the kids, the youth, the new blood, which was Wild Dog's daughter, Mia Queen, Oliver's son, Diggle's son, well, he was the villain, but then also Bronze Tiger's son, which Diggle eventually ended up adopting for whatever reason. So that was the new blood, and Felicity had helped them. When Felicity helped them save Star City, and they all agreed that they were going to come together and be a team, a new team that was going to help protect the city and, honor the memory of Oliver Queen. Felicity went to the cemetery or wherever the hell she went. She had a conversation with the Monitor, and then the Monitor was just like, he was like, are you ready to go to this place? And then she was just like, yes. And then he said, remember, he said, where you're going, I can't bring you back. And then she was just like, I've waited so long to see him, it'll be great to see. She said, I just want to see him again. What he did was, because we thought she died. When the episode came out, we thought the Monitor killed her and she ended up in the afterlife. We all thought she was because where he took her, we all assumed he took her to the afterlife, and her and Oliver were in the afterlife together, being together for all eternity. Come to find out now, based on this episode, she was not in the afterlife and Oliver wasn't in the afterlife. The Monitor took her to where Oliver is as the Spectre. The Spectre plane, or whatever the Spectre plane is, which allows Oliver to exist there and keep a watch over the multiverse, that's where he sent Felicity. So the reason why Oliver didn't see Felicity, because Felicity in current times has to stay there. She has to raise Mia. She has to, make sure that she's okay. She has to help the kids when the kids get older. Like, everything's building towards that moment. So Oliver is gonna be alone in Spectreland until we get to Star City 2020 whatever, when Mia's an adult and everything. So then, if he's the Spectre, he knows everything, so he knows he's gonna see Felicity again because she's gonna commit suicide. He knows he's gonna see Felicity again. That's why he said that our destinies have been written. She has a destiny to help the new Team Arrow form, and then she'll join him in Spectreland. So it's nice to know both of them actually didn't die. Well, Oliver died, but that was just one of those cool little nods to the end of Arrow. to know that both Felicity and Oliver are in Spectre Land, and she didn't like kill herself and like just go to the great beyond. Which is why the Monitor was like, yo, where I'm sending you, I can't bring you back because he doesn't have the power to remove her from Spectre Land. I said so that was a nice little nugget. And then the part where I wanted to throw something. Then Oliver says that yes, not only have I been keeping an eye on Felicity, I've been keeping an eye on my kids. He said, but I've also been keeping an eye on you, John. And then they showed the damn scene where he threw away the power. And then here's the part that was weird to me. Oliver said the box was designed to test you. And then he said, you made the right choice because in brightest day, he said, you're going to spend brightest days. I was like, ha ha. He's like, you're going to spend brightest days with your family and you made the right choice. See, the problem I have with that wording when he said because again, if Oliver is the Spectre and he knows all and he can see all and this, that, and the third, he knows the Green Lantern ring was in that box. So a better choice of phrasing would have been for Oliver to say, you know, that box contained a powerful ring that would have sent you on a cosmic journey to protect the galaxy, but you chose to stay with your family, and I think you made the right choice. And, you know, like something along those lines. But because he said the box was designed to test you, that didn't sound like a positive thing. And now you're making me think that box actually wasn't the ring. You know, and maybe it's just me. I don't know. Like, maybe it's just me, but there's like, now you're making me think that box now had some evil power in it that was going to test Diggle and was designed to like tempt Diggle to take some evil power. And then he was going to take that evil power and, you know, like wreak havoc all over the world. Because the thing is, unless from a writer standpoint or from a studio standpoint, they weren't allowed to say the word the ring, and he just brought up the box. But even then, if they weren't allowed to actually say ring, him saying the box was designed to test you just did not sound like a positive thing. And I said, now you got me questioning what the hell was in that damn box. Because even the Reverse Flash, when John had that conversation with the Reverse Flash, there was never like the word ring was never brought up. It was just like, oh, it's just going to give you power. But it's just like, what kind of power? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Like I said, at this point, I don't think that was the Green Lantern ring now based on that particular choice of wording in the conversation. And who knows, we're probably going to get Diggle. Diggle's probably actually going to be the Green Lantern on Superman and Lois. So that takes place on Earth too. So that was it. And then the two of them hugged each other. You know, they said their goodbyes. And then he was like, at least I could say goodbye this time. And then he left. Then in the final scene, Oliver and Barry, they're at the bar, like they're getting drunk at the bar. And then, you know, that's when he was just like, hey, he said, are there other Flashes out there? He's like, there are plenty of Flashes, there are plenty of heroes, but you're the best one. And then he was just like, don't forget, the lightning chose you, Barry, you know, honor the light and, you know, keep being the hero that I want you to be and happy birthday. And then he made Barry pay the tab. And I thought that was funny too, because he was like, bro, you're a billionaire. And then he was just like, you can't take the money with you. And even when he was the Spectre, like when they got beat up by Ramsey, he was like, bro, like you're the Spectre, like how do we get beat up? So yeah, so that was it. And then it just ended because Oliver and Barry always go to the bar after every crossover, so it was nice to see that again, to see the two of them at the bar. Oliver went back to Spectre Land as he continues to protect the multiverse and watch over his friends. Oliver Queen is still alive. He actually didn't die. You know, like he's still the Spectre. He's still around. He's still looking over the multiverse. He can come back whenever the multiverse is in trouble. But it was a nice send off to the Arrow show, and thank you for tuning in. GOAT. Ladies and gentlemen, I implore you, please go on Netflix and rewatch Arrow. We rewatched the entire series of Arrow. And yes, I understand there were some people in season 4 who had issues with the magical aspect of it, with the magical villains. There were a lot of things about season 4 that I did like Vixen and them killing Laurel and then coming back, you know, eventually coming back with Black Siren. Season 4 definitely had a lot of good moments, but aside from that, after season 4, they went right back to the gritty, and with Prometheus and everything, and that point on, it was like season 1 and 2 of Arrow all over again. So definitely go back and watch Arrow and pay homage to the GOAT of superhero television. He will never not be the GOAT of superhero television. Oliver Queen is the GOAT of superhero television. So like I said, hit me up on Twitter and on Instagram. This was the best episode of The Flash, season 9 so far. This was the best episode of The Flash. I saw that Titans episode where Gar looked into the multiverse and could tap into the multiverse, and as much as I love that, like, this was shit. And I thought it was gonna be like a crossover event, because when they said that the multiverse was in trouble and you're bringing back Oliver Queen, in my mind I was like, there's no way in hell you're doing that in one episode, but apparently they did. They did do it in one episode. And then next week, I guess we're finally leading up to episode 1 of The Flash, where we watch Barry as a young Flash watch an older version of Barry fight the Reverse Flash, who eventually kills his mom. That's basically what we're about to get right now. Like, the Flash is probably going to end with the beginning, and whereas before every time we saw that scene where Barry's mom got killed, we always saw it from the perspective of the young Barry, of the young Flash Barry. This time we're gonna see it from the old Barry perspective, whereas like instead of him being the one hiding in the closet watching his mother die, Barry's now gonna be the person that looks at his younger self, puts his hand up and says, don't do it. So like I said, share your questions, comments, and concerns down below. Hit me up on Twitter and on Instagram, always on YouTube, where you can check out my reviews, because I got Superman and Lois on the channel, which is killing it. Bruno Mannheim, his wife, and their kid who's yet to be revealed is on the show. And share your thoughts. We'll talk about it. Doom Patrol. No, I keep saying Doom Patrol. Titans is coming up because it's a Titans Doom Patrol crossover. We're going to talk about that too as we lead up for the Doom Patrol season to premiere. And only 3 more episodes to go for both Flash and Titans. So that was it, everybody. Yes, it was very refreshing. You don't understand how bad I was happy to see Oliver Queen back in full, in full form. Love me some Arrow. I'm about to watch me some Arrow on Netflix right now. So till then, till next week, we have not failed this unit. And it's the Arrowverse, damn it, because if he's the Spectre, and if he's watching over the multiverse that he created, god damn it, it's the Arrowverse, because he's in charge of it. Until next time, do not fail your city. We will be back in a flash, and we're out this bitch.